glad to see everyone here. We had about 20 folks sign up, but you know how sometimes things happen. So we have very good quality here because I think I've met most everybody. And glad y'all have joined us today. Philip
Scroggin, yep.
I put your name, the easy ones. Philip Scroggin he's done Tech Tuesdays for us before. I'm not going to steal thunder about his company because I want him to tell you he knows a little bit more about it than I do. He does a fantastic job. Young talent, excited to have him here. Not to say that we're old talent, because we're not. We're young, relatively speaking, but Philip has some great things to share. I'm interested as well. And thank y'all for taking your time out of your day this morning to join us. I do have a little sign-in sheet going around. Good, if y'all have it. That way we can just share with one another should you want other contact information from other folks that are here today. So without anything else, any other questions? Everybody know where the bathroom is, the coffee, the water. That's my job to make sure. Okay. Philip, it is yours.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
I'd like to echo Greg's sentiment. Philip Scroggin, I'm the business development manager with Progressive Technology. I've been with them about 2 years. We've been around since 2001, and for those who don't know Progressive Technology, we are an IT consulting and managed services organization. So we do a little bit of everything for small businesses, and Tech Tuesday is awesome for us. I look for these kind of opportunities to speak with local businesses and chamber members. I really think that the Hilton Head Chamber does a great job of organizing these kind of events to help us as small businesses be better in every way, including the way we leverage technology. So I kind of jokingly thought to myself, and I talked with Greg, that last year was doom and gloom pretty much. We did 2 events, and 3 out of the 4 talks were all about how technology can creep up on you and destroy your entire business. It was all about cybersecurity disasters and ransomware and whatnot. And so I was like, you know what, in 2018, not that those things aren't still a concern, but I'd like to focus on some of the ways that technology can actually help your business. And so we're going to talk about cloud, specifically 5 ways to win with the cloud. I can keep y'all here all day, but we're going to stay at a very, very high level with our brief time together. And we're going to talk specifically about what the cloud is, where it's come, what can it do for small businesses today, and then ultimately I'd like to leave you with 5 thoughts for how your business can improve here in 2018 and moving forward as you go back to your businesses and help make decisions. So the way we're going to move through this, okay, is we are going to discuss the cloud itself. Make sure we're on the same page. You might think of one thing about what the cloud is, and you might think another thing, and you might, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure on the same page as to what the cloud is, and we'll go over some very important high-level terms as well as to specific parts of cloud computing for business. We'll also go into how it changed the game. Most people, when they think of cloud, they might think of, well, this is big business stuff. Us small businesses, the cloud isn't really for us. Well, we'll talk about how it's changed the game for all businesses, but definitely for small businesses. Then we'll go into what can I put in the cloud. I think you'd be surprised at where we are in 2018 is different than where we were in 2017, different than where we were 5 years ago, etc. There's a lot you can do and a lot of lots of your business that you can put into the cloud depending on what's the best fit. We'll go into clearing up the facts by addressing some misnomers, some legends, some myths about what the cloud really is and what it's really great at and isn't so great at. Then we'll need to wrap it up as we finish up towards, okay, let's talk costs and benefits at a high level. What are the really great things about moving to the cloud? What are some of the precautions? And then we'll finish it up with the 5 ways to win. These are our recommendations to you about your mindset and your approach at a strategic level when we're talking about to cloud or not to cloud, so to speak. All right, so I'm going to need y'all's help with this, all right? And then we'll go into Q&R. So just a point of clarification, if you have a question, I'm one of those guys, when I have a question on my mind, stop, please, need you to answer right now. But we will have a dedicated Q&R section, and I think this kind of environment we have right here would be great for some interactive Q&R, and we can all talk amongst each other, and maybe we can help each other. So with that being said, I need some bold soul to tell me what their definition of the cloud is. Could someone tell me, if your kid or your boss comes up to you and said, hey, what's the cloud? What would you say? Okay, central storage unit. Okay, a central site. Okay. And but any other takers? A data repository. Okay. Anybody else got a guess? Okay. You want to try one, Lily? Yeah. Okay. All right, Michelle, I was going to ask Greg to be the judge. Since you're here, you have to be the judge. I'm going to give you all the textbook definition. I'm going to give you my definition. You heard some of those examples. You tell me which one's the best, and I actually got a gift card. So I'm all about participation. I'm willing to pay for it. All right. So your textbook definition of the cloud, and I got this from Wikipedia. You can obviously trust everything Wikipedia says because not only is it on the internet, but anybody can write an article. That's how you know that Wikipedia is 100% the gospel truth. Wikipedia or other dictionaries might say that it is an IT paradigm that enables ubiquitous access to shared pools of configurable system resources and higher level services that can be rapidly provisioned with minimal management effort, often over the internet. How many people's eyes have glazed over? Oh man, okay, that's a really technical definition. Yeah. All right, so that's one version. Philip has a little bit of a different version. Philip thinks that the cloud is it's the internet, okay, or specifically getting technology services over the internet that you would otherwise run locally. So that's a really simplified version of a definition of cloud. And Michelle, I need you to pick which definition you heard, which was the closest, or whatever you think was the best.
Somebody said the word access. I think that.
Who said the word access? Hey, you know what? You answered first. I'll give it to you. There you go. There you go. Amazon gift card right there. No one was wrong. We were all right? So no one got that. I wouldn't have gotten that one. So that's, and again, the cloud is a lot of different things. I would say, once again, getting things over the internet, services that you would typically have to get yourself through other means, and all cloud, or nearly all cloud is internet, but not all internet is cloud. Okay, so hopefully you're properly confused. We're going to talk about a couple definitions as to types of services over the cloud. So the first one would be software as a service. Okay, simple. It's cloud-based applications. When you think cloud, you're probably thinking SaaS. Okay, and people will actually say SaaS, software as a service. Okay, I don't know that anybody says PaaS, but platform as a service is probably the more nuanced. For anybody who knows about other IT terms, there's software and there's hardware. There's this middle layer called middleware, which is software for other software. So you're talking about development and deployment platforms. One example might be an analytics database, right, where you run reporting and whatnot. That would be more of a platform. It's not a front-end user-ending application, but it has a software level to it. That would still probably be at the application level. Like I said, the vast majority of what you're going to think of and what you'll interact with will be software as a service. Platform as a service is probably something more of us as an IT services organization would be managing. You wouldn't really interact with it. And then the other part that, for the most part, you also would not interact with would be infrastructure as a service. It's instant computing infrastructure provisioned and managed over the resource. So think about storage and computing power. One example of something you might use is if you have cloud-hosted file shares or like Dropbox, that would probably be infrastructure. So I need the visual representation so I don't confuse myself. And so that kind of gives you an idea. We go all the way from the far right to like your base, like you got to have a building and you've got to have AC so your servers don't overheat and melt, and you've got to have power. Then you go all the way to the actual compute and storage power. That's all infrastructure. Then you go a couple more to where you have your Windows, your Linux, your Apple operating system, right? Then we go into the development tools, database management, business analytics. Now we're in the platform, but you still don't have an actual application that you're interacting with as a user. That is everything, and that is called SaaS. Okay, so that's just an idea. Cloud, SaaS, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. Two more definitions before we move on. When you think of cloud, you're probably thinking of public cloud, but there are two types of deployment options. Just to make sure we're on the same page, public cloud, Microsoft's website, their Azure website. So this is what they say. Is computing services offered by third-party providers over the public internet. Essentially, If you want to pay me, I got this service. I'm going to offer it to the world. I'm going to offer it over the public internet. If you want a piece of it and you want a piece of it and you want a piece of it, you're going to get the same kind of service, the same kind of platform. Pay me my monthly subscription and I get my recurring revenue and I will give you this service. Okay. There's some customization and whatnot, but in general, it's almost like that kind of utility is like for everybody, right? Go ahead. So it varies per platform. So some will give you lots of different customization options. Some of it is what it is. It's an out-of-the-box solution. You like it or you don't, right? Now, if he's asking a question about customization, control, a lot of times, especially over the public cloud model, you'll have to give that up. When you're running your own infrastructure, your own applications in your own house, you can do whatever the heck you want to with it, right? On the cloud, a lot of times you can't. What attempts to get the best of both worlds and oftentimes does is what we call private cloud. So this can be over the internet. It could be over a private internal network. The main thing you need to know is the difference is that rather than it being available to everything and I have a large service that anybody can get, I'm going to build a service just for you. So I'm going to build the server and the applications. I'm going to build it to spec for you and only you can access it. It's private cloud, right? So, I'm going to build the service for her. None of y'all can get it. I'd have to build you your own private cloud, right? So that's a different way to deploy it. As you would probably guess, it's more expensive, but allows you more control and customization, et cetera, et cetera. Got the definitions out the way. Okay, what does it mean for me? How does it help small businesses? This is all cool, but what is it going to do for me? What has it done for small businesses? Well, I'd say if cloud was part of a popularity contest, it's certainly winning. Cloud has been around since the late 90s in a way. There's varying definitions of when the cloud came to be. I first kind of noticed it right around college time. I think around 2007, 2008, past 10 years is when we've really been aware of the cloud. But now where we are today, you're looking at, if you look at just small organizations, you're looking at over 70% penetration in terms of SaaS, meaning that over 70% of small businesses use some kind of cloud application. If you include small and mid-sized organizations, recent studies have shown that we're well above 90% are using some kind of cloud application. Why are they doing this? Here's what Progressive Technology thinks, our observations, because we see a little bit of everything. What historically has been the issue with small businesses versus their larger competition is that, if I want to compete against larger businesses, well, I just have to beat them out with amazing customer service, right? As if they don't have customer service. And I have a hard time matching their cash flow, matching their services, their technologies, their convenience. Exaggerated examples like, you think of your local community bank versus like a Bank of America. Like, well, it's hard for them to compete with all those different conveniences. Well, cloud has really changed the game for that. You have so many affordable cloud applications that I can be just as accessible and convenient to my customers and my clients as some of these big guys can. And I don't have to have the capital budget to match them, right? Because another issue with small businesses is cash flow, it's price costs. Budgets are more likely going to be tighter, right? And the local counterparts of these different services and platforms, you got to have a lot of capital up front. Well, you're working almost wholly with operating when you're going the cloud route. And cloud tends to be much more predictable spend. You don't have as many surprise costs and maintenance costs. It is what it is. You pay the monthly subscription or you don't. So that's another reason why small businesses are going to this, as well as in general, they're able to scale up and out more quickly, roll out new services. It helps them adapt as the market changes, the small businesses change with it, and it's easier to set up and manage. On the whole, it helps them mimic or match conveniences and services that typically and historically they haven't been able to compete with these bigger businesses on. And I will say lastly that honestly, a lot of small businesses don't really do on-premise infrastructure correctly. Okay, and there's just a lot of work that goes into setting up a server, an application, or a service and running it in your house. You got to pay a lot of capital budget. You got to make sure you buy the right thing. You got to take care of it. You have to give it TLC for 4 to 6 years, and you have to keep it under warranty. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to it, and then we could get into a whole nother world about security and backups. And a lot of small businesses don't have to do with that with cloud, or at least don't have to do a lot of it. It takes a lot of that responsibility off their plate. So that's some of the reasons that we see small businesses increasingly going cloud. That's why we see, once again, if you don't use any kind of cloud, you're in the minority for small businesses. Cloud is for small businesses, not just for big business. Now, hopefully will blow your mind with what can you put in the cloud. I would say where we are in 2018, it might surprise you. So first example would be, does anybody use an industry-specific software or industry-specific platform or some kind of operations software system that they run their business through, their operations? I do. Okay. What industry? Okay. What industry? Okay. Industry. Okay. Yeah. And our industry is as IT. We actually have a cloud-hosted operations platform that we run our business through. Okay. So we're all probably using something like this. It may or may not be cloud, but for example, law, construction, manufacturing, electronic medical records, club management. Okay. You can put this in the cloud. That's not earth-shaking. I'm sure a lot of you do that today. Now let's go into departments. Okay. So anybody who's a sales or marketing employee for their company? Any sales or marketing people? Am I the only one? Okay, marketing. Thank goodness. Okay, I thought I was all by myself. All right. So stuff like email automation. I do a lot of email blasts, newsletters. So stuff like MailChimp or Constant Contact is out there. HubSpot's out there and also social media automation. There's actually some really cool cloud-based platforms to help you manage your social media posts and your social media presence. You can put that in the cloud. Anybody who does design or marketing production, right? So I do a little bit. I'm not that cool. I'm not that talented. Maybe we got someone from SCAD who's, who will chime in later. But Adobe Creative Cloud, I don't know if you've heard of it, but like even before Microsoft really started to force businesses onto cloud, Adobe started to do that. So today, if you want Illustrator or design, you're going to have to go in their cloud platform because they're all cloud now. So Adobe Creative Cloud for Teams is what small businesses use for marketing, production, and design and graphics. Anybody use a sales or marketing, like a CRM system to manage your pipeline and sales and contacts? Right. 1 in 3 businesses, small to mid-sized firms, actually use it right now. It may or may not be cloud, but it's used. This was one of the first services for businesses to go into the cloud. Salesforce, right? It used to be salesforce.com, started in the late 90s. They claim to be one of the very first cloud companies ever. They actually just launched a new service called Salesforce Essentials. It's specifically geared for us, okay? It's actually, you're not supposed to have more than 25 employees to get Salesforce Essentials. And this is amazing because they see we got more and more small businesses. We need to have an offering for them. And so you have these huge Fortune-sized companies making services for small businesses to try to grab that share. And so you got more and more cloud companies offering a service. So and Zoho and HubSpot and Sugar and about 5,000 other companies play in the sector through the cloud. Any human resources employees? Anybody in HR? HR people? There you go. I was about to pick on HR people, but I'm going to stop now. So yeah, kind of important stuff. You can put your HR in the cloud. Bamboo, Zenefits, Sage, Kronos, ADP. Anybody heard of that? ADP, yeah, so payroll is a big one. Onboarding, recruiting, all that good stuff. You could put that in the cloud. We do as well. And then accounting. Any accountants here? You do, yeah, you get in QuickBooks, right? Do some of the books. You don't use QuickBooks. I was about to say the vast majority of small businesses seem to use QuickBooks, right? There you go. So some of it might be integrated in a larger platform. Y'all might have a dedicated industry-specific solution. But in general, there are multiple options out there. I specifically mentioned QuickBooks because of how prevalent it is. But QuickBooks Online, I've actually talked with an accounting company we work with, and they said that all their observations show that Intuit is investing all of its R&D and its focus on building up QuickBooks Online. I really think it won't be very long before we're using QuickBooks Online more so than we have people using QuickBooks Desktop. But there are other platforms out there. So not only can you put your operations in the cloud, you can put your department apps in the cloud. We can also collaborate through the cloud. I think that for small businesses, this is going to be one of the best fits where you're going to have to give me a good case as to why you shouldn't put this stuff in the cloud. So we're talking email, right? We're talking instant messaging. We're talking video conferencing. We're talking productivity apps, i.e. Office Suite. And the 2 big names of the game are no surprise, right? Everybody heard of Office 365, right? Everybody heard of Google, but specifically their G Suite is for their small businesses, not the free stuff you might be getting. G Suite is for small businesses, and they've really been ramping up their services along. Basically, you have a subscription through them. You've got all of this and some stuff I didn't even have room for on this, but we're talking about holistic premium collaboration and accessibility to your clients, to your staff, to your vendors through the cloud. And there are other players who have more specialization, like GoToMeeting or Cisco WebEx might be just for video conferencing, Slack just for instant messaging. But this is huge. This is probably one of the sectors where small business has been very quick to get on board with cloud. You can actually put your entire phone system in the cloud. And I would maybe for some of you, this is very surprising, but we actually do have a lot of local businesses. We have local companies who offer these services. So y'all might already be aware of this, that, traditional phone system, I go get my handsets and I go buy phone lines from my phone company. And then you probably don't even know that this box is there, but there's actually a phone server box that's sitting somewhere in your network closet, and you have all this different stuff with the local phone system, okay? Hosted PBX takes nearly all of that away except for the handsets themselves, okay? A lot of times you can have a lot of flexibility with the handsets you choose. You don't need POTS or PRI or SIP trunk for the phone lines. You don't have to pay that phone bill unless you have a factory alarm, okay? But you also don't need the local server. That whole server that's doing all the routing and all that stuff, that's all in the cloud too. So you just have the handsets, and the feature sets are oftentimes comparable or perhaps even superior to local on-premise phone deployments, okay? We have local options. We do hosted PBX. Hargray does hosted PBX. You can go to national providers like Microsoft has a newer offering called Phone System in Office 365. There's some really cool platforms out there. So once again, there's going to be different benefits and costs of that. But hosted PBX, you can put your entire phone system in the cloud. Who uses Dropbox in any kind of capacity, even your personal? Who uses OneDrive? Google Drive, right? Any others? Anybody use any kind of cloud storage apps? Right. Okay, but it's document storage and sharing. Yeah, exactly. So this is something that y'all are very used to, right? Instead of having a local NAS, or file share, or having 5,000 jump drives, we just put it in the cloud, right? So it could be for personal, decentralized, or it could be centralized, like having a company-wide library. And the cloud capabilities are going to be beyond anything you could do locally. This is one of the best fits for cloud. Once again, that's just kind of one of those duh things. You can get, as far as storage capacity, you can work on gigabytes. You can do terabyte plans. You can do 2 terabyte plans. There's unlimited plans, okay? So depending on what your business needs, you can do automatic file sync, which is really, really convenient. I use automatic file sync to help get this presentation ready for today. You can do tiered access at a file or folder level, encryption at rest or in transit when you're passing across multiple networks, passing to clients, passing to prospective clients, secure external sharing. The capabilities are pretty impressive. And you can do dual factor authentication for access. There's all kinds of cool stuff. So it's a really convenient and secure way to do document management, which can be a real hassle for us. Dropbox for Business and Ignite are some of the premium ones. Like I said, when we talked about the previous couple slides, in Office 365 or Google G Suite, they often will have OneDrive for Business or Google Drive for Work. So it's becoming extremely prevalent to just put your documents in the cloud. Now let's go on the back end. Let's go on to infrastructure. Okay, so servers. Anybody who has a server in the office knows how much work it is involved in having a server in their office. Well, obviously, I'm sure that most of y'all probably already know that you can put that in the cloud. You can have a cloud server, which would it be? SaaS or PaaS or IaaS? The answer could be pretty much any of them. It depends on how you set it up. But if it's just the server, you would be looking at platform as a service most likely. But you can do all kinds of different stuff that you would normally do with a normal server. And the cool thing about it is because you use the cloud elastic computing, which means you can quick scale. If my servers are here today and I need to be here next year, or I need to be here next year, or here next year, because my business could do this, small businesses, we're always changing. Elastic computing allows me to take that cloud server and scale it anywhere I need to. Whereas with the box, I'm kind of married to that box for 4 to 6 years unless I like wasting money, okay? And a lot of this other stuff, updates, patches, data backup, upgrade, security, it's all inclusive of the service. So Whereas there isn't any like no management or no maintenance. It's very much very predictable and very streamlined. It takes a lot of that off your plate. And then when it comes to remote access, for those of us who have local servers, setting up a VPN, or go to my PC or some kind of remote desktop service, don't need it. Don't matter. As long as you have internet service, you have access to your cloud server. So especially businesses that have multiple locations, that have mobile workforces, people who work remote, cloud server really helps out with that. So some huge examples. I just gave someone an Amazon gift card, and you're thinking pretty much anything, but you might not have thought of service. Well, Amazon is actually the market leader in infrastructure as a service, the market leader in cloud server platforms. Microsoft Azure is another one, and IBM Cloud is another one. And there are lots of regional and local options as well, but those are the three big players in the game. And this is not like you're thinking, oh, well, this must be for the bigger businesses. The other stuff is for small businesses. We have clients who are deployed on this platform with less than 10 employees. It depends on what your business needs, okay? Finally, hopefully I can blow your mind. I think this is one of the newest trends in IT and in cloud, and I think that it's becoming increasingly prevalent in small businesses. It hasn't quite caught fire yet, is let's just put your computer in the cloud. Like this computer in the cloud, okay? So Philip Scroggin has his computer profile, and I have a cloud computer with like RAM and a processor and storage and an operating system and like settings and stuff, but it's all in the cloud. So when Philip needs to use this device, or he needs to use this device, or he needs to use that device, as long as I have internet connection, pretty much any device is going to be compatible with it. I can access my profile and be productive from any device as long as I have an internet connection. You can integrate it with your Active Directory. So it's just like when you sign into your computer at the office and get onto the local network and put in your creds, you do the same thing, okay? They're simpler to deploy and manage than, for example, maybe some of y'all remember dumb terminals, set up virtual desktops, right? Where there's just a dumb, cheap computer and all the work's being done at the server. They're easier to deploy and manage, and they're actually more robust and powerful than traditional VDI environments. So those are not the same. And then I can quick scale on the computer side, even down to the kind of graphics I have, just like I can with the server. Amazon's a big player in this one. Citrix and VMware are big ones on this. And then I'll breeze through this one because y'all are probably already well-versed with it, is that you can do hosted file backup and image level backup, right? That's not mind shattering. A lot of you probably do it right now, because rather than just having a flash drive and external drive, it's nice to have your data backups in another location, right? So guys like StorageCraft and Mosey and Carbonite can do file or image level backups, even offer full-on disaster recovery platforms through the cloud for your data. Who can tell me what movie this is from? We got any movie buffs in here? People who like Westerns? What'd you say? No, that's not the movie. It is a little bit darker, but no, it's a very famous one. Very, very famous. I know this one, and y'all don't. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. There you go. All right. And by the way, I'm gonna see if I can impress y'all even more that actually know these guys. James Stewart, John Wayne, Lee Marvin, and Lee Van Cleave in the back from The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. So boom. I know all the movies too. Okay. So what we're going to do here, and I'm going to need Greg to help me track. I'm also need us to do our little Scouts honor thing, okay? Because there's so many incentives to this. I'm going to give you a pop quiz. All right, everybody ready for a pop quiz? I want you to raise your hands. We're going to talk about the cloud, legend or fact. Okay, everybody ready? So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to throw out a claim. You raise your hand if legend, or you raise your hand with fact, and we'll see who gets the most right, okay? The cloud is faster, guys. Cloud is faster. Let me hear my legends. Who thinks that the cloud is faster is a legend? Okay. Let me hear who says the cloud is faster. Fact. Okay, so, all right, so everybody has fact, and then you have legend. Okay, all right. Greg, you keeping track?
Yep.
That is a legend. That is a legend. Right. So the one word, latency. Latency. Now, if we have apples to apples, like I have this exact kind of server environment that's taken care of this way, and it's in my office, and this exact kind of server environment, and it's taken care of, and it's in the cloud. Well, one's right next to me. The other one has to go through the internet. Latency has to go through the internet. There's going to be that extra middleman I have to go through. So in general, if you're working with apples, cloud is going to be slower. It will be. Okay. Let's go on the next one. Here we go. Cloud is cheaper. The cloud is cheaper. Who says legend? Okay. Who says fact?
That's all.
Okay. Okay. Drum roll, please. Wrong movie, but who cares? That's a legend. Okay. On the whole, okay. Now, there's different specific reasons, but for all intents and purposes, this is a legend. Okay. Maybe within 1 year or whatnot, but do a 3-year or a 5-year cost comparison between cloud or on-prem. You're going to pay a premium for getting a premium service. Over 3-5 years, which is about the life of a server or a desktop, et cetera, you're going to pay more for cloud. You will pay more. Okay. Cloud is more powerful than on-prem, than local. The cloud is more powerful in general. Who has my legends? Got any legends? All right, who's got my facts? All right, so who, did anybody say legend? I saw someone. Okay, so everybody says fact? That's a fact. Cloud is more powerful in general. I would say, especially compared to what we small businesses could put in our own offices and our own server closets, the cloud's gonna be more powerful and have more capabilities than what we could probably get with our own money, right? Setting it up ourselves. Security isn't a concern with the cloud. Don't have to worry about security with the cloud. Where are my legends? Okay. All right, who's got my facts? Security is not a concern. Okay, this group's really smart. It's hard to stump y'all. So that is a legend. Okay. Now I probably gave it away with how strong the claim is, but some people will say, you know, hey, well, I'm putting all my stuff in the cloud. I don't have to worry about cybersecurity. Well, no, you still have passwords and credentials that I can attack you with phishing attempts and social engineering attacks. I can get you that way. There's user error, right? People will assume that, well, if I've got my stuff in the cloud, they're automatically backing it up too, right? No. So when you actually go press that one button that you didn't mean to, your data is just gone. They're not backing it up for you necessarily. Okay, so data retention can be an error as well. And then local risks, just because most of your applications, all your applications are in the cloud doesn't mean that a cyber criminal can't send a virus or a ransomware attack and still really screw up your day. Okay, now I would say natively it's more secure, but security is a concern with the cloud. The cloud is more flexible. Who gives me legend? Who thinks it's a legend? The cloud is more flexible. Okay. The cloud is more flexible, okay? Who thinks it's a fact that the cloud is more flexible? It is a fact that the cloud is more flexible, okay? And I will state there's two primary reasons why the cloud is more flexible. Number one, you're not tied to previous investments, okay? Milo goes and buys a box from me. That's great. We can expand it to a certain extent, but you were married to that box for 4 to 6 years. You're stuck with it. You need to just fit your business to that. Cloud, up, down, in, out, left, right, it don't matter. What do you need? Let's make it happen. You can quick scale up and quick scale out. You're not tied to a box. I believe this is the last one. Here we go. Let's put our thinking caps on. The cloud is more stable. Legend. The cloud is more stable. Legend. Okay. The cloud is more stable. Fact. Okay. Did you get that, Greg?
Yes.
Okay. As a fact, okay, the cloud is more stable.
I have one. Oh, no.
No, I'll let you know. Okay, so 2 reasons real quick. Best practices and all the management and all that stuff, it's just going to be enforced and it's going to come with the service. You don't have as much of an opportunity to screw up the way you administer it. Therefore, it's going to be more secure and more stable. And the high availability is native and baked within. These guys are building multi-million-dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars of data centers oftentimes across multiple places in the U.S. on the world. It's going to be really hard for us to match that kind of stability and high availability. So did you, okay, so who is the winner?
But very slimly, it is Mr. Wilson over there.
Woo!
Because Brenda got one, also got one through.
Yes, sir.
So Jack got that same.
Hey, y'all did a great job. No, but here's the thing, though, is this is the thing is, what's the famous quote? Why did I put this here? the guy says at the end when he finds out that James Stewart really wasn't what he said he was, and they said, well, what are we supposed to print? It's like, well, this is the West. When you got the fact or the legend, you print the what? You print the legend, right? So I'm a marketing guy. You know, the cloud is powerful. It's going to change your life and change your socks and help you get 9 hours of sleep every night too. So, you know, we really have to take some time to think about what the cloud is and what it isn't as well. There are places where the cloud is a good fit and the places where the cloud is not the best fit. So that's what we're going to go in as we wrap up this presentation. Okay. Let's wrap it up by talking about benefits. Okay. For small business, everybody in here is a small business, right? In general, I'm going to make this claim, and I feel very comfortable in making it, that the cloud will be a good fit more times than not. Okay? More times than not, the cloud's going to be a good fit for you. And here's why I'm saying that. Small businesses are supposed to be better at adapting, right? We're smaller, and part of the way we're able to beat out these large companies who are slow moving and have red tape and lots of hoops to jump through is you got smaller operations. We can just go boom, boom, boom. The market's going here. My customers want this. I go there now. Cloud augments and enhances that kind of mental and that kind of strategic approach. That's exactly what cloud is for, is to be changing on the fly. And because you have less existing infrastructure and you're less likely to have these large, heavy data sets and legacy applications, there's really not a lot holding you back from going to the cloud as far as just what you have as of today. And then the other part is that yes, cloud is much more of an operating expense than a capital expense. A lot of small businesses struggle with capital investment. Therefore, cloud naturally fits within that. Plus, you know, they oftentimes will have less cash flow for these surprise costs and ongoing maintenance. Cloud automates a lot of that. Now, on the other hand, what are we giving up, or what kind of precautions do we need to be thinking about with cloud? Okay. Number one, cloud is more expensive over time. Do a 3-year or a 5-year. We can help you if you're working on a project or you're making these decisions. You'll find that the cloud is probably going to be more expensive. We're discussing it with a client of ours right now, and you know their server needs to be replaced. And we're like, oh, we can put everything in the cloud. We can just continue with the same model. And they look at the 3-year cost projection, even like, wow, we're gonna really pay a premium for cloud. Also, latency concerns, right? A lot of times when we talk to these clients, depending on how much they want to put in the cloud, we'll say, hey, you need to get to have dual internet services from different providers. We need to find a way to kind of have a backup or failover for internet, because everything's in the internet. Not to say that we're going to be extremely productive if most things are local and the internet goes down, but that increased dependency and latency concerns is a concern. And the other thing is, like you said, I would say in general, you have less customization and control with the cloud. You're going to be forced to standardize, which I think for a lot of us small businesses is probably a good thing. But nevertheless, you don't have as much control on the way you run things if you're putting it in the cloud. And these are a couple reasons why on-premise really isn't going anywhere, right? I'd say that we're noticing that there's more hybrid infrastructure where this is good for cloud, let's put that there. This is good for on-site, let's keep that there. It's kind of like, maybe 6 to 8 years ago. Does everybody remember like the early 20-teens, 6, 8 years ago, when everybody was like, yeah, we're all going to have iPads and we're all going to have iPhones, and, we won't have laptops and desktops anymore, right? Except for we do, right. Yeah, but here's the thing: is the market adapted. We see a lot more tablets today in business than we used to, but we also saw the market adapt. We saw more Ultrabooks. I got a 2-pound laptop, and you got convertibles and stuff like that. And we still need desktops depending on what your business demands. And so you see, we're kind of getting the best of both worlds. It's the same thing with cloud. Don't listen to the cloud hype that you have to put everything in the cloud. You're going to end up probably doing a little bit of both. Okay. So with that being said, let's wrap it up. The 5 ways to win with the cloud. Number 1, okay, would be, and this is the most important one, I want you to write it down in bold. Let the business need, or your drive the decision to cloud or not to cloud. Well, you need to start with, well, what is my business or what do my clients need? A lot of that stuff will just fall from there. And the second one is kind of close to it, is that don't take a one-size-fits-all approach. I've sat down with clients and like, oh, I hate the cloud, or I think the cloud's scary, or I don't trust the cloud. Wrong mindset. Wrong mindset. You're really hurting your business if you have that mindset. And on the flip side, we've talked to clients and businesses who are like, well, we need to put everything in the cloud. Why? Well, because everybody's going to the cloud. No. Okay. So we need to have that don't take that one-size-fits-all approach. Start with number one. Let the need or the strategy drive your decision. As businesses, one of our biggest benefits, like I said, compared to our larger competition, is that we're agile, we're aggressive, we're lean. We can adapt to the market as it needs us to faster than bigger companies. Well, you need to keep that approach, whether you go cloud or not. It's one of the biggest benefits of small business over larger businesses. So keep that mentality, stay lean, fighting machine, and be ready to adapt to the market, whether you go cloud or not. Number 4, if you're going to deploy via the cloud, leverage true benefits. Don't go there for the hype. Don't go there because you read this one article or that one company sold you on something. Make sure you're going to leverage true benefits for the right reasons. So once again, don't go there because you think it's going to be cheaper. Now, if you really think that it's going to be more predictable and you think it's going to be much less on the capital expenditures and the operating costs, so that kind of stuff, okay, yeah. But don't go there because you don't have to worry about security and because it's going to be really cheap and because blah, blah, blah. Then finally, if you're going to deploy on-premise and you keep stuff in-house, do it right, right? So we've seen too many issues with data loss, reputation damage, just compromise of sensitive information of companies and staff and customers and stakeholders. You got to do it right. Okay, so if you're gonna run stuff in house, get the right stuff, give it the TLC that it needs, the security, the data backup, and keep it under warranty. All that good stuff that comes with running your stuff in house. Those are the 5 ways to win. Thank you for your time, and I am perfectly ready to field any questions if y'all have questions.
Is encryption typically an add-on in the public cloud?
Is encryption?
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll have encryption at the file access, or they'll have encryption in transit. I would say that as far as what you may be, right, so a lot of stuff that you would think of as encrypted, some providers may have it, some providers may not. I think there's probably a lot of cloud solutions where you can't just automatically expect that. If you're running things locally, you would obviously have to add that on as its own dedicated solution a lot of times. Yeah.
Isn't there sometimes when you do not want to put your emails in the cloud? I think that was our situation, and y'all advised us not to. So we haven't. I say we. I'm not there.
Right.
MLS has a email server.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were advised not to put it in the cloud for some reason.
Mm-hmm. There can be. So the question was like, are there certain cases where it wouldn't be a good idea to put email on the cloud? I would say the reasons are few and far in between. It could be a couple of different reasons. It could be how mission critical email communications are. It could be how much life you have left on your current investments as far as the server and then all the different Microsoft Exchange licensing you would have to buy. So it may be that we want to get a little bit more return on investment before we do a migration. It could be the other parts of your environment maybe it wouldn't be as conducive or as compatible to doing an Office 365 migration or a Google migration. There are some nuanced specific cases in which you might want to keep your email in-house. I would say that in general, not the exception, but the rule is that most everybody, especially in small business, should have their email in the cloud. And for example, Microsoft, if you're running an in-house email service, you're probably going through Microsoft Exchange. Microsoft is making it very, very, very hard to stay on that long term. So most of our clients, right. So I would say those use cases are few and far between. Eventually, Microsoft is going to force everybody off of local Exchange. They're all going to have to go cloud. They really won't have a choice. Any other questions? All right. Go ahead.
Google Drive. What's going on with that? Is there's some changes going on?
I'm not sure, actually. So are you talking about the personal Google Drive, or are you talking about the Google Drive within Google Drive for Work, their business offering?
Right. Well, I don't know. We use
Mm-hmm. You're probably just using the free version. I don't know. I mean, I would have to look into it. That's a good question. I probably should go look. And I do have, you know, multiple Twitter accounts. I manage our business Twitter account. And so I do try to keep up with IT trends and articles. I haven't heard anything per se. I will let y'all know that I'm noticing, obviously, there's an incentive for these companies like Dropbox and Google, who small businesses are trying to get away with their freemium offerings or their free offerings. They would be pretty stupid not to try to figure out a way to force small businesses onto their small business offerings where you're paying for that service. That might be what it's related to, but that encourages me to go do some research.
I think if you pop up saying Google Drive is going away, I need to upgrade to something else. I think that's probably Microsoft trying to get you.
Yeah, right.
Well, I would make sure, first of all, it's not a virus, but I would just,
Do some research and those happened in the last fall or the end of last summer.
Mhm.
We're getting it then.
mhm.
I haven't made sense of it yet.
After you said that, I went back to the office and I looked it up and they said there was like an upgrade in March that you had to, but I haven't had any problems with our drive at all. So you kind of spooked me.
I know.
Oh my gosh, because everything we have is.
Yeah, I'll need to go do some research on that. I will say that in general, for the people who are using like free versions of Dropbox or free versions of Google, I mean, depending on where you are, maybe that is the best fit. I would say that there's a lot of security features, storage capacity features, and tiered access that I really think needs to be in place from a security standpoint. You really can't do if you're using the free versions. But, you know, I don't know what Google's doing. Like I said, I would venture to say without knowing anything about what you're talking about, I would assume that as Google's G Suite is really starting to gain market share, they full work, and they've got small businesses using regular Google Drive. They're probably trying to do things to force them onto the paid version. In fact, I'm about to go to one of our, we're a Dropbox partner. And so I'm about to go get on a training call this week about Dropbox versus Dropbox for Business. You know, so, you know, that might be something along those lines.
Are there any, I suppose it's unique to everybody, but differences or benefits between Dropbox and Google Drive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There are.
I would definitely.
I actually looked up a link and looked at a website comparing them as I was doing preparation for the talk. And of course, our guys, like our consultants, they've all like put their hands on it. And so they know like, well, Ignite's the best for this, but Dropbox the best for this, but you know, OneDrive's the best for this. I would say in general, if you want like a robust full suite, you want all the bells and tricks and whistles, and not just that, like there are actually going to be some really specific benefits that you can get from the premium guys versus the ones that are included. Dropbox is like the industry leader. Ignite's another big one, and then Box. That's why depending on what package you're gonna be paying over $10 a month for the thing. But that's more like centrally managed, like full on digital libraries. Whereas the other stuff like OneDrive or Google Drive for Work, that's gonna be more like it's company level cloud storage, but it's more so for individuals. It's more decentralized and per user. Like for example, I don't use Dropbox. I use OneDrive because we don't do a whole lot of centrally managed data storage. And so we do have a file share on our server, but most of us, because we have Office 365, we'll use our OneDrive for Business accounts to just sync across multiple devices and keep our stuff backed up and synced that way. We don't see a specific benefit for us for Dropbox. We put other clients on Dropbox for Business or Ignite because they need more robust capabilities than secure business individual storage. So it all varies, but I definitely can get you some materials if you want to email me afterwards about like, okay, here's the checkbox list of this is better at that and this is better at this. Absolutely. If you have any other questions about cloud, your business, thoughts, what decisions? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up, and I want to